Hey basketball players and fans, today I am going to be breaking down Alex Caruso's basketball shooting form. Let's get down and let's check out how Alex Caruso is able to shoot the basketball. Okay, so what we have right here is Alex Caruso. When he first gets that ball, he is right on his toes and he stays on his toes. Now, when he goes from here into his set point, there's something that I always look at, and that is how many hinges is there in his shot. And what I mean by hinges is, does his shoulder rotate? Obviously, that has to happen. Does his elbow bend? Does his wrist bend? The least amount of movement in your shot is generally better because then there's less mistakes that can happen. So first off, he is looking at the rim. That is very important. He's got shoulders over his knees, over his toes. That's good. Some players will like to have head over knees, over toes. You can go either way, but he's got his shoulders. That's going to be using a little bit more of his lower back. So if you're shooting like this, and you can do this just by easily recording yourself shooting and seeing if you have your shoulders over your knees instead of your head, and if your shoulders are over your knees and toes, definitely work out that lower back muscle. Deadlifts is a great exercise, and that's going to give you a lot more power on your shot. That's something that many trainers probably will not tell you to do because this is something that a lot of trainers do not really focus on. Next is his feet straight towards the rim, or are they turned to the side? Well, we can see from here that his toes are straight towards the basket and his left foot is slightly behind the right. Now, you're going to do this as a right-handed player because this is going to give you more power and a straighter shot. And we're going to look at his knees. They are both pointing towards the rim and roughly the same distance away from the rim, and same as his hips and his shoulders. Now, a lot of players will be on an angle. Alex Caruso is not, and this is why he's able to shoot at a very high percentage. Now, I understand that not all players will be able to shoot squared up to the basket, and they still have a high percentage. I'm not dinging that. You still can. There's other things, however, in your shot that need to be different when you're on an angle. However, Alex Caruso is squared up to the basket. Now, we're going to be watching his shoulders and his elbows now. Are they going to be making a perfect half circle oval type of movement, or are they going to be changing on the way up? And what we have is no elbow turning or bending at all. This is all shoulder, which is perfect, same as the offhand. And what we can see from here is that his offhand is straight up when it comes to his arm. Some players will like to have it slightly bent back. Instead of being straight up, they may have the hand back. That's totally up to you. Some players will prefer this way versus the others. While his set point is above his head and above his forehead. So, what we have is his elbow, instead of being straight up, it's slightly turned. I'm going to say roughly 45 to 50 degrees, which is totally fine. And his set point is going to be clear of any visual lines of sight. And then when he goes to release that ball, is there a thumb flick? And there is. We can see that from this angle even right there. There is a slight thumb flick. And then he's able to get that ball right off his middle finger. Something that we also see as soon as he releases that ball is that his elbow is above his eyes. Now, generally speaking, you want to be at a 45, if not greater degree angle to have good arc on the shot, but also to allow yourself to not get blocked as easily. As we can see here, he was able to get this off in time. Now, just picture if he was to release that ball here, that would have been a clear block and a very easy block. But instead, he had good arc on the shot his arm was at a 45, if not greater degree angle, which I'm going to say it's right at 45-ish. And then we have that ball, which is able to get out of his hand in time before the block. And now when we look at the flick, we can obviously see that it's a soft flick, and there's two types of flicks when it comes to shooters. There's the hard flick, where basically the wrist will bend to there, where it is right now, and not go any farther. The hand will stay straight and not curve. But we do see that the hand does curve, and he does slightly bring his arm back, his shooting arm back, just a bit. Now, that could have been from the defender, but I'm going to say that I've seen it a few other times before, and he does tend to bring it back just a bit slightly. Now, something else that I do notice is that even after all of these frames, we still see his shooting arm straight up. He holds his release. And what is this going to do for you as a player? Well, this is going to do for you as a player is allowing you to be able to control that ball longer. And what I mean by that is not like psychic abilities or anything. No, what this is going to do is if you bring your arm down early, then sometimes what happens is you still have the ball in your hand, maybe flicking it, and if you bring it down too early, then that kind of messes up your shot's trajectory and a lot of other things. That's why you want to keep your arm up there so that now there's nothing to really change that shot when it gets close to releasing from your hand. Now we're looking at Alex Caruso over here, and we can see that he does keep his hand up for a while. He does slightly jump forward, and we have seen this in a few other clips as well. And we'll see this in a lot of different shooters who will have a quick release, and because they're having a quick release, they need to jump slightly forward. I know there's a lot of old school coaches who say never jump forward, jump straight up and straight down, but there is a time and place for jumping slightly forward, and that is set shots like Caruso gets quite often. I hope that this video has helped you become a better shooter in basketball. If it has, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time.